Hey, hello everyone. Sean Symons, PPG Grandpa. Welcome to ClearPropTV, Paratalk.org, and PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast. Now, this is not live. We are premiering this on Monday, like we normally do. However, I'm in Moonshiners right now with my friends flying, or I don't know, maybe making s'mores on the fire. Who knows what's going on? But if I do have a good internet connection, I will be in the chat over here, and we'll be able to answer questions. Andrew, welcome to the show, buddy. We're going to be talking to Andrew today. He's a self-taught pilot, came over to me after breaking 4 props and saying, you know what, this is enough's enough. Obviously, I need something more than just the internet. So welcome to the show, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, buddy. So before we start, you are how old? Almost 30, right?
I'm 28, and yeah, I just started getting into paramotoring about 4 months ago.
And you thought, man, this is great. You know, I can get up there and fly. This is great, but man, paramotor school is kind of expensive. So you decided to go the teach myself how to fly by using the internet. I don't know, YouTube. So what did you actually do as far as like trying to learn paramotors from the internet? I mean, did you get books? Was it just YouTube? Did you go to like how-to videos, or how'd that work out for you, bud?
Pretty much all of the above. Mainly, I got a book. So when I bought my wing from the Facebook Marketplace, the guy who sold it to me also had a book. It wasn't the PPG Bible, but it was kind of a skim version of that. It was very informative, but it wasn't as good as PPG Bible. I used a lot of that, read through that book, used YouTube, a lot of forums. I followed the Facebook pages for all the PPG and just watch what people had to say, looked at their videos, things like that, and trial and error, I guess.
Absolutely. Now, you did recently upload the videos that you did do to YouTube, and we're going to play a couple of those. We're also going to have you go out to the garage later on and show us this paramotor machine that you were flying that scared the crap out of me the first time you came over to see me. So let's go ahead and go through, some of the things that we talked about before. Your name is Andrew. You self-taught yourself. Back in March of 2021, you decided to get this stuff. You did 2 successful flights, but you broke 4 props. You weigh 165 pounds. And do you remember how much your paramotor actually weighed?
The motor itself weighed about 70 pounds on 3/4 of a tank of fuel.
Okay, so you actually weighed it.
Yeah, I stood on a scale, with it on my back and then without it, and just subtracted that.
Oh, okay. So you did the all up. So what was it all
Yeah.
together? Do you remember?
Quick math, 165 plus 70.
Okay. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so about 240-ish, give or take.
And your first wing was a 36-meter wing that was about 10 years old. You never could get it above your head. You couldn't fly with it, right?
Correct. I could barely kite it, and I just figured maybe it's just me. I thought I was kiting it correctly. Didn't think twice about it being the wing. Never really thought about wing sizes or knowing what I actually need. And turns out in the end, it was the wing the whole time.
Yeah, a tandem wing is pretty big, especially a 10-year-old 36-meter. I bet that was like trying to get an Afghan on rope up in the air, huh?
Yeah, it was like flying the Titanic over my head. And I mean, I even thought about it. It was just so huge. And I'm like, man, this wing is massive. I can't wait to get off the ground in this. Nah, it should have been like half the size.
Now, one of the cool things is I was watching your videos, and the first video that I saw that you uploaded was I got my motor, my first paramotor. Let me go ahead and bring this up real quick because this was pretty cool. Just because you won it on eBay, so you
Yeah.
didn't even get this off of like Facebook Marketplace. You won this off of eBay first, right?
Yes. I didn't even know about any of the PPG pages on Facebook at the
Okay.
time.
Okay, so the first one you got was okay, the 36-meter wing. Where'd you find that at then?
I found that on the Facebook Marketplace. It was down in Louisiana, about a 4-hour drive from me. It's just like the stars just aligned for that one. But
It kind of
yeah,
aligned when you found out that it was just too big for you. And then you won this.
yeah,
This is your paramotor that you won on eBay. So you're checking it out. Looks like it has pretty good throttle, pretty good power. I don't see a helmet. It looks kind of dangerous without that helmet.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is just out of the box. I was just excited, put it on my back out in front of my house like a kid on Christmas. That's my dad in the background. I'm just, being silly, blowing the air and messing up my garage. You know.
Looks like your dad was not too amused.
Yeah, I mean, he was laughing, but he was like thinking more like, man, he's gonna get himself killed, most definitely.
So by this time, you got yourself. Now this is with this paramotor, the first paramotor that you got right there. You still had the 36 meter, and you tried to fly it with that 36 meter. Is that correct?
Yeah, didn't work out well at all. Yeah, I got off the ground with it once about 6 feet in the air. I came up about 6 feet, came back down, landed on my feet. Essentially, it stalled, um, based on the size of the wing, I'm assuming.
Okay. And then you got rid of the 36 meter, and you found a smaller wing that was 20 years old. Tell me about that wing.
Yeah, so I posted the 36 meter and said I wanted to trade it for something smaller, and ended up trading it, some guy down in Florida. Yeah, this new wing was, well, new to me. It's 20 years old, 30 meters. And when I first pulled it out of the box and, kited it, it was a night and day difference between the 36 meter and that one, you know. So I learned to kite that wing, but it was still really hard to get up. I had to really put my back into it to pull it up. And I just thought, well, this is just how wings are supposed to be. I thought it was perfectly normal. And once again, it's just me, not the wing, thinking I had the right equipment.
And here is your first broken prop. Let's take a look
Yep.
at this real quick. I don't have the sound on, so tell me what's going on real quick.
So that's the 36 meter wing. That was actually, I
Oh,
think my second time out in the field, and I had my friend recording me. And that's me not getting off the ground, but it's, uh, yeah, try to reverse launch. Right about here, I felt the wing yank me to the left, and I lost my brake, and I should have bailed, but I just went for it. And I think I got too excited, and I kind of jumped. You can see my legs go out in front of me. And obviously, I fell right back on fell on my butt and hit the prop.
okay. Well, I see a bunch of pieces of your paramotor in front of you too.
Yeah, the frame for the netting around my paramotor, it's all like at that time I didn't know how to tie it extremely tight to hold the net on, to hold the poles together. So basically, when I would bash the bottom of my frame on the ground like that, and it would flex the cage, those poles would pop out. A couple of them would, and they'd go flying. So in order to mitigate that problem, I ended up putting duct tape on the poles at some points in time. And this is when I discovered that my prop was broke, and I was feeling pretty broken over that.
Uh, Absolutely. Let's for fun. Let's just look at this real quick. So I'm I'm assuming that the wind is coming towards us, and the leading edge is going away from us. Is that correct?
No, I'm actually running towards the cameraman. And right when I did that, the wind shifted and started coming from my left, which is why I immediately turned to my left. Just as I pulled it up, the wind shifted. And instead of bailing out, I went for it.
This was the one that you did a reverse, right?
Yes,
So you're pulling, so your back was towards us, and you're pulling the wing towards us, and leading edge is towards us right now, right?
correct.
Okay. So you pull it up above your head, and then it looks like it does, wow, a complete turn. So you're following it,
Right.
and you slipped, and boom.
Yeah, that's about it.
I'm going to take a look at the way that you're doing reverse real quick, because I'm sure that people are curious to see what a self-taught pilot feels the correct way of holding a reverse is.
Ah,
So now, did you find this on the internet of how to do reverse, or did you just try to figure this out on
um,
your own?
I think it was a mix of YouTube videos and trying to figure this out on my own. I mean, this was only my second time going out into the field to try it. And I mean, I changed up some things in the future and like different tactics, pretty much because this wing was so big. The only way that I was ever able to get it up in the air over my head was a reverse. Once I went to the smaller wing, the 30 meter, I was able to attempt forward launches. So these are just me trying to get this wing up, and this was the only way to do it.
Okay. It looks like you lost your brake there.
Yeah.
I am so sorry that happened to you. That must have been so frustrating.
Yeah, a lot more frustrating than painful. I was ignoring the pain. I was just mad that it happened.
Now, you did not get hurt on any of these
No, I had some
challenges.
cuts and scrapes, and that's about it.
Okay. So you never got yourself hurt. You never, put your finger in a prop or anything, but you're okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's really all that matters. I mean, broken props, broken machines, they can get fixed and stuff like that. We got the next one we got is your paramotor stall before and after. It only looks like it's 38 seconds long. And let's go ahead and share that screen real quick. And go ahead and tell us what's going on this one. Do you remember?
Yeah. If you don't have the sound for it,
No.
this is actually a Snapchat I was sending to a buddy while I was out in the field. I was setting up, a couple things went wrong. The rope on my pole start broke while I was out there, and instead of packing it up and going to rebuild the pole start, I tied the rope together in a knot so I could get it started again. The hand strap on my throttle broke, it ripped. So again, instead of taking it home and replacing the strap, I zip tied the strap back to the throttle just to hold it. So it was just basically jerry rigging my motor to be able to start it out there, to be able to go and be able to hold the throttle. and
And tell me what you said right here.
I said, well, I crashed, but I didn't die. If I could
That's
lip sync that.
that was
And
pretty
then
good.
pointing out that I started out over there, took off into this little valley and broke my prop when I landed. Reason why I actually crashed wasn't really to do with me jerry rigging the equipment. That was mostly cosmetic. I actually took off on the first go. I took off directly into the wind, and there's this small valley there that you saw with a little creek bed at the bottom. And when I took off into the wind, I immediately went up in the air, and I'm thinking, wow, first try, I'm up. Here we go. Start going up like 20 feet, 25, 30 feet, and then it starts bogging, falling down 25 feet. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm just giving her gas. I'm leaning back, and it's coming up, and it's going back down. And I'm thinking, why am I being pulled down? I mean, this hasn't happened before. And the only thing that would make sense is because I was taking off into a valley, and maybe I got caught in a downdraft because the wind was blowing down towards me into that bowl, if you will. So when I realized I was going to go down, I would automatically want to turn off my motor. But if I turn off my motor, I was going to go right into this creek bed that was filled with thorns, and I was going to get hurt real bad. So I wanted to overshoot that. And the only way to do that was to give it a little last throttle right before I land. So I chose to keep the motor on. And just when I was about 10 feet off the ground and I was going in for the thorns, trying to keep my altitude, gave it one last bit of gas, and I just overshot it. Well, it wasn't that I just gave it a last little bit of gas. I was holding the throttle the whole time to stay up, but it was just enough to put me past the creek, land into the hillside, which, you can't land properly on a hillside like that at those speeds. So essentially I fell on my butt, broke my prop, and I was in the air for a whole 20 seconds.
Wow. This
Yeah.
is it's heartbreaking, you know, because I understand wanting to get up in the air, and when something like this happens, and you know, you taste it a little bit, you know, you feel it a little bit. It's like
Hmm.
I'm up in the air a little bit, and now I'm down. I'm up in the air a little bit, now I'm down. I broke 4 props, and it's like, what am I going to do? So we're going to do one more screen share right here, and this is it says first paramotor flight self-trained. You got 44 views. You posted up on July 30th. Let's go ahead and take a peek real quick and tell me, you know, what's going on right now.
Okay, so the reason I don't have any of my takeoffs on video is because I had countless videos of me just screwing up these takeoffs, you know, so I didn't turn on my GoPro. This time I got off the ground, I'm flying around and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm up. So I immediately turn on my GoPro and, you know, the wing handled kind of like I expected, but different. I felt myself being pulled to the left and drifting, like the wind was moving me where it wanted to. And it kind of didn't expect that. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm up in the air, I'm flying around. Let me just make sure I can control my way around the field and land. You know, I just want to make sure I could get on the ground and be fine. So I was only in the air for about a minute. And as I came in for this landing, you know, got a little too excited and flared a little too soon. So I dropped down a little farther than I should have. But like right at this moment, I was just on cloud nine. You know, I landed and I'm like, yes, finally. I only crashed like 12 times and I finally got off the ground one time, you know, 2 broken props later. But, you know, it was just that moment where I'm like, I just want to get back up at any cost, even if it, you know, I keep breaking myself and breaking my equipment, which isn't a very smart way to think about it.
No, but I see off over here, um, you're by Pinnacle Mountain. I know exactly where you
Yes.
are. Um,
Yep.
and I also know too that this particular place is on the lee side of that mountain. And when the wind blows on the other side and it comes over, this place is all but impossible because of the rotor. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely horrible. You get up about 200 feet, it's butter smooth right there. I bet you were just being bounced all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't see that's one of the things I knew about rotors, but I didn't think that the mountain being that far away would affect it. But yeah, I was dead wrong. The whole time I've been out there, just those trees, that mountain. And come to think of it, the direction that I took off, which wasn't directly at the mountain, the only 2 times I ever took off was going to the would have been the east because that park was to the north side of the mountain. So every time the wind was not coming from the mountain's direction is when I was actually able to take off. But every time it was coming from the mountain's direction, yeah, I was getting tossed all over the place, which would explain the rotor effect.
You can get, and I've seen this because I've been there a lot. You can be that mountain will go from it's about 1,000 feet MSL, but it's only about 700 feet AGL. So from the ground up, it's only about 700 feet. However, that throws off so much rotor when the wind is coming from that direction that I can feel it from miles away going to Pinnacle Mountain from Conway.
Wow.
Miles and miles. When I get down about 500 feet, I can start feeling the bumps. And as you keep on going down into that little area right there, because you got to remember too, you got that dam off to the side too, that big hill.
Yep.
So now you're in this bowl, right? So you got the Pinnacle Mountain over here, you got this bowl here, and on this side you have all this this dam and all the trees. It makes the most incredibly worst rotor that I've ever tried to fly in, take off or land. So being a new pilot, I can't even imagine, especially with that motor and that wing, how incredibly bumpy it was. Let me tell you how bad it was. Um, I was flying down into it to land, right? And my wing would go forward, backwards, and left and right like this, and my wingtips would flap inside because of all the rotor. I I can't imagine. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for being able to do something like that in that horrible area. Um, but wow. So you got 2 good flights in. You broke 4 props. and now you have a motor, a paramotor that's broken, and your
Hmm.
motor is over in the garage, right?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at that. So let's see your machine that you have right now, Andrew.
All right. Well, it's in pretty bad shape, but this is it. Uh, the frame used to be up like this, and you can see that the straps that hold the harness on would be attached to this upper part of the frame. What happened
I
was,
can't see the I can't see that. You got to angle your phone up just a little
oh,
bit.
can you
Try it
see
again.
this? Is this
Okay, yeah.
better? Yeah. So right here at the bottom of the frame, it snapped, cracked right off, and fell. And now you just have this loosely hanging harness. And if that happened in flight, that would have been a different story rather than being on the ground. So I don't have a welder. So to me, this is not something I can repair on my own.
Let's see your throttle real quick over where
Yeah.
where it didn't mash all the way, where you only got like a half or a quarter or
Oh,
three
yeah.
quarters on your.
Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I pull it and then I let it go, it moves back so slowly. It doesn't snap right back. See how it just kind of inches its way? Yeah. And you can tell that I should have a lot more pull, but it's only going maybe 80% of the way. Are you able to see that?
Yeah. If I start to talk, then I can't see it because then it goes back to me. It's speaker view.
Oh, okay. Well, I got you.
So what other problems do we have on it? Do you have the prop on it still?
No, I don't have the prop on it still. I sent that last one off to be repaired, and I decided to cancel on repairing it because I'm going to just get rid of this machine and invest in something more reliable for myself.
Let's see the springs that attach your exhaust.
Okay. The springs, so
Can't see
super
it.
loose. Yeah, and this is cracked right here. Also, while we're here, here's a few of my broken props. Yeah, pretty sad collection, huh?
It happens to the best of us. Anything else that you want to show us on the paramotor?
What was that?
Was there anything else that you want to show us on the paramotor that wasn't working very well?
No, I think that's about it. Most of it's cosmetic, but as far as oh, actually, there is one more thing. So when my kill switch stopped working, I couldn't figure out where it was shorting. So what I did was I installed a aftermarket cable. It was a throttle cable I got from Home Depot, and I connected it to the choke so that way I could choke out the engine to kill it. And I put the switch around behind my back and kind of by my left thigh, so I'd have to reach behind me. And here it is. So here you can see the choke, and I ran a cable through here, and the cable goes down and behind to this little kill switch. So that would kill it. I would turn it on. So you can imagine flying through the sky and having to be sitting here and reach down and hit that kill switch. I mean, it does its job, but it's definitely not safe.
So that's a very interesting your paramotor itself and reaching down and trying to hit that kill switch and using the choke, and it just didn't seem, and with that thing that broke right behind you and the seat fell. Can you imagine if you're up in the air and that happened? That would have been horrible.
We wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be here.
No, it was awful. So you decided to search for a paramotor instructor, and how'd that go?
It was just by chance. My neighbor across the street, he saw I had a paramotor, and he was someone who worked with you back then. He's like, "Hey, Sean in Conway, have you talked to him?" Like, there's an instructor in Conway. Yeah, I thought I was alone out here. I didn't know anybody else did paramotor, let alone instructing. It sounded like I would have to drive to Dallas, a few times and spend $2,500, and I can't do that, But as soon as I found out about you, um, yeah, I waited about a week, and then all this happened with me breaking my last prop. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't take this anymore. I got to talk to an instructor.
Okay, so before we get to that part, you ended up coming over. We hung out, and you did your first full day of training with me. On your phone, you're going to do a quick share, real quick, right, with your old wing. One of our students that can kite tried to do a forward inflation with it. You want to go ahead and stream that real quick so we can see it?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll rotate the screen here. Be a perfect example of. Here we go. Start broadcast. Be a perfect example of how bad it was trying to inflate my wing.
Okay, so this was a student. I don't see it yet. There we go. So this was a student that's been doing really well as far as kiting, and he clipped in and wanted to do a forward inflation with your wing just to see if he could get up in the air. This is the 20-year-old 30-meter, right?
Doing this number, so you're kind of doing a crosswind. So you're going to run straight towards me, and then once it's up, you're going to be running towards the wind, wherever that is.
I was like, you're doing big ears, and he was holding onto the A's the entire time.
Watch your wingtips. Let it know.
Wow.
Is that crap or what? Is that the worst wing you ever felt?
So that's that's porosity,
yeah.
Or is it something else?
That's
it's
crazy.
Not coming up. It ain't.
And you had your A's full.
Yeah. So the A's were like pulled the entire time, and there was just nothing, just absolutely nothing. So what we're going to do is we're
no longer.
What's that?
Is it still screen sharing? I'm sorry.
No.
Is it still screen sharing, or is it good now? All right, cool.
Yeah, it's good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at another video that we got here. I actually got some of those videos. So let's go ahead and take this. This is the guy that was trying to get your wing and did that forward inflation. So he's going to try to do a hand kiting. And we're going to see what that looks like with him trying to hand kite the wing. This is your 20-year-old wing.
No, that's his wing.
Oh, this is his wing.
Yeah, that's the WTF wing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is his old wing because he originally decided to self-train before he came to see me too. So okay, so he was actually able to get his old wing up in the air, but it was crap. Thanks for letting me see that. Let's see. This is you kiting the Gin. So let's go ahead and screen share this real quick. So this was like the first time you popped over here. Andrew's the student that came to me, and you just popped the thing up in the air. Now tell me, how awesome was this? What was the difference between this and your wings?
Zero effort, so much control. Like I said, I thought that it was me and not my wings. I thought that wings were supposed to be big and hard to pull up in the air and impossible to control, but this one's just like 2 fingers, a little tug, and it wants to fly itself.
And there wasn't much wind either.
No, practically nil.
And you were able to pop this thing up like it was almost nothing.
Yeah.
And of course, got some other videos of you playing with the wing, but all in all, with the experience that you have with getting the eBay wing motor and stuff like that, what is the difference between the motor that you tried? Because you tried my motor too, my Atom 80. What was that difference between the Atom 80 and your paramotor that you had?
Well, I know my paramotor weighed about 70 pounds, and it was, a back-breaking thing to take on and off. I put on your motor, and it felt like it weighed 20. I would guess maybe 30 pounds, because it was like wearing a small backpack. It was total difference.
And you kited a couple of our different wings that we had there.
Beautiful. Look at that nice inflation.
Even with a little bit of wind,
we're pulling big ears. That's so cool.
And you got up in the air, and even with a little bit of wind like that, you're able to control the wing pretty darn easy. So, and that was just with one day at the school. You also tried a Roadster too, and you got into the Ford, tried to do a Ford inflation. What did you think about that one? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. Like, once again, a night and day difference. As you could see with the other guy when he was inflating my 20-year-old wing, how it didn't get fully inflated and it just pulled off to the left for no reason at all, even though he's pulling on the A's and moving with it. So I was used to just fighting it. Whereas, this one, I ended up having to move with it on this forward launch, but I mean, it's completely different. I can actually control it. It doesn't want to just peel off in one direction for no reason. And that would, my guess, be because some of the lines on my other one was stretched out. They were old, they were uneven. Whereas a newer wing, they're going to be even lines. It's going to pull it up properly.
Yeah, so this was, I wanted to see what you learned. So I was like, all right, go ahead and do this real quick. Let me see what let me see what you're doing, and we can figure out what's going on. Number one, look at how long you held on to the A's. Number two, look at you looking straight up at it. We never want to look straight up at the wing.
Yeah.
A couple of things that we noticed on this first time doing a Ford inflation, or, Ford inflation, and then, trying to turn around and kite it down. So we learned a lot about what you learned and what you didn't learn being a self-taught pilot. I'm glad you were able to get up in the air. I'm glad that you were able to experience, this wonderful thing called, paramotoring, and you decided to come over and actually, get training. Now, that first day that you trained with us, what are some of the things that you learned that you didn't even know that you didn't know that first day? Do you remember? I know that we talked about this a couple of times.
Yeah, there are a lot of details about airspace, Part 103, things like that. I wouldn't say that I thought I knew everything, but there was a lot of important things that I didn't realize that were very important to flying and following the law. There was that, just the way that I would forward inflate, like just strapping in, right? For example, when I would strap in on a forward inflation or a forward launch, it was just like this whole project where I'm, kind of picking it up, and then I got to make sure they're not twisted incorrectly when I put them over my shoulder, the risers rather, where you showed me, hey, just reach down, pick it up, and the way your hand turns, that's where you clip in, where you use your opposite hand. It's simple things like that made a long process for myself, turns it into a 2-second process all of a sudden.
Exactly. And we're showing you being able to take this wing up in some pretty rowdy air, because I think about this time it was midday, so we did get some thermals that were whipping through here. And when it whipped around, you're able to almost do a Cobra and bring it back up. So it came down a little bit. You had one side going up. I was telling you which way to turn, which way to go to pull, and you were almost able to do Cobra and bring that wing back up, but you were able to control it pretty darn quick, which was really awesome.
Yeah, and if this is something that happened to me before I came and talked to you, it would have twisted up. I would have been pissed off, and then I would have had to, reset everything. I wouldn't have been able to even think it was possible to reinflate something like that.
and then bringing your wing down nice and gently. We worked on that to where you just set it down nice and gently and fold it back into a wall, which makes it easy to, go and take a forward or reverse inflation and go for a launch. But of course, obviously, you were hand kiting. Did you ever do any hand kiting, or were you connected to your paramotor when you were kiting originally? Do you remember?
With the 36 meter, and that was the first wing I had, I didn't understand how hand kiting worked. When I first went out there, I took, one riser, and both hands, not the A's, or the brakes separately, just grab the risers and pull them up. And obviously, it's going to twist up and go every which way. I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? Eventually, I started clipping into the harness of my paramotor. Then when I realized that wing was too big and I went to the 30 meter, that's around the time I learned, from YouTube how to hand kite. But I wasn't able to keep my wing up in the air even close to as long as when I was training with you, because I was just out there pulling and trying to keep it up. And then one way or another, after a few seconds, the wind would take it and I wouldn't know how to correct it. But, when you showed me about like keeping it like it's on a stick, one's forward in front of the other, back and forth like that, like a steering wheel. If you want the wing to move in one direction, you have to move the opposite direction or follow it. Little simple things like that. I could keep the wing in the air as long as I want.
Absolutely. And also too, just so you know, you can keep the risers apart and hand kite it like this. That's just a little bit more advanced than the way I was teaching you, that it's easy to start like this. So you have more control and understand, what the wing is doing underneath this pendulum.
I didn't even know that.
Absolutely. Yep. A lot of things, unfortunately, we don't know until we get to an instructor. Now, if you went to instructor first before you bought gear, and you were able to use the instructor's gear, their wing and their motor and stuff, would you ever have considered purchasing the stuff that you did purchase before coming to see me?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. What's the difference between like the stuff that we used at the school and the stuff that you bought on eBay?
It was newer, it was lighter, it was the right size. It was I could actually control it. It inflated easy, barely any effort to pull it over my head. Even things like the riser lines on my old equipment being stretched out, I didn't know that was a thing, So I wouldn't even. I would have looked at the equipment I have now, just knowing what I know now, and been like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, on your first day at the school, you would have looked at the stuff that you found on eBay and you would have said, that's not right. Now, remember when we looked in the garage just a little while ago, your carabiners were a high hang point and the carabiners touched. If your carabiners can go like this and touch, it's very easy to get that riser twist when you're flying in rough air. If you're taking off and you have too much torque and stuff, you can actually do a riser twist with a torque twist. So you were very, very lucky not to get hurt in that equipment. And what really scared me is when that piece that's holding your harness broke. You would have slipped down. The paramotor would have went up this way. You have been holding on to the brake lines as your paramotor was going above you like this, which would have gave you more pressure on the brake. You would have stalled it, and it would have been awful. So, phew! I am so glad you came over to see me. Now, you guys that are watching this, there are some successful people that have gone out and self-trained legally in the United States. You don't have to find an instructor. You don't need to go to school. However, with the amount of money that Andrew spent on his wing, his other wing, his paramotor, and his 4 props, that would have covered all sorts of training and probably got him at least a good used wing from the instructor, I think. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I didn't want to go with an instructor at first because I don't give up easy on things, and I'm a kind of a do-it-yourself guy, and it took a lot for me to finally just kind of not admit defeat, but realize that I shouldn't be doing this on my own, especially with the money that just keeps racking up with all the damage I'm doing to my motor. Yeah, I wish if I could go back, I would have gone with an instructor first.
Well, if you guys are watching this, leave me a comment down below, or if you're watching this during the premiere, leave me a comment over here in the super chat. Do you know anybody that has trained on their own? Have you trained on your own? And what do you think about self-training? And what do you need to do to be able to self-train? Anyway, it's been a great podcast. You can find Andrew over at paramotorguest.com for this week until we get back after Moonshiners and do another live show. So go over to paramotorguest.com, check out Andrew's page. Make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that bell notification, like all of his videos, because he told me before the podcast that there's a couple more videos that are coming out. What are some of the videos that you're going to be posting?
I guess, well, first of all, my second flight, I haven't gotten around to posting that. I'll post that one. Second flight was a lot longer, went a lot higher, better landing. I'll post some of the kiting videos of my big old piece of crap 36-meter wing, and just, I didn't realize the struggle at the time, but anybody could. And yeah, as I keep going through the learning process and learning with my instructor, I'll be taking more videos and GoPro and showing my progress along the way. And I want my channel to be something that people can use as a tool to go, well, this is what not to do. And look at how bad this could have turned out if I decided to do that way, because I didn't have that. So I can be a living example.
And like we said too, you're a young man, you're in the military, you're strong as hell. You can you can pretty much do anything that you put your mind to. But the only difference is that a lot of people don't understand, working with wings, you're underneath a pendulum, and for your entire life on the earth, you've never been working with a pendulum. You've always been working with, you're on the ground. So if there's something over here that you need to pull this way, you take it and you pull it with your body and you pull it this way. However, when you're underneath a wing and it starts going down this way, if you pull it this way, guess what? It's going to fall down quick. You got to go with it, get underneath of it to control it. So it's completely against your DNA, completely against, all your muscle memory that you've ever learned in your entire life. And unfortunately, the older you get, the more you're set into, your muscle memory. You're young enough, Andrew, that it should be really easy for you to go, oh, well, if instead of pulling it this way, I get underneath of it and go this way. And it should be pretty much easy. How'd you feel like getting underneath those wings over the first day of class over at Paramotor, Arkansas?
I wanted them, I was just like, please let me have this wing. Let me do it all over again with this wing. It would have made so much of a difference.
Absolutely. Well, you can borrow one of these wings anytime that you want to, and I also got a harness. So I was going to let you have one this weekend, but unfortunately, you're working this weekend, and you thought that I was being at Moonshiners. So my other students thought I was at Moonshiners this weekend, and I had nobody this weekend. So I'm just hanging out with the family, which is good. And we're doing this this recorded podcast, and we're going to go live on Monday because I'll be driving to Moonshiners. Actually, I should be at Moonshiners by the time this thing comes out, and hopefully I am, and I'll be able to chat with you guys. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your experience. Guys, make sure you go over to paramotorguest.com, subscribe to his channel, hit that bell notification, because his progress is amazing. That one day that we worked with him, that first day, was absolutely amazing. The next day, so much better. I mean, just went from, couldn't do anything. No, I didn't mean can't do anything, but working with you, you went from bad habits to very good habits pretty quick. So very proud of you.
Well, I mean, I don't always learn my lesson, but when I do, I usually learn it the hard way. So hopefully people will see some of my videos and they can avoid learning the hard way.
And that sounds like a bumper sticker.
I
or a beer, you know, it's like I don't always drink beer, but when I do.
That's exactly what it is. That's that beer commercial with the words mixed up, but it works, right?
It does. It absolutely works out great. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. You can always come and see me and my shenanigans at iflyparamotors.com. And for this week coming up, I'll be in Moonshiners, and we're going to be doing we're going to try to hit all 3 states. There's a point where you can hit all 3 states. We're going to go take a trip. We're going to try to get up to 10,000 feet because we got to note them all the way up to 16,000. So I might try to go up to 16,000. I don't know. So make sure you check out my videos. Make sure you check out Andrew's videos. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So thank you again, Andrew, for being on the show. And I can't wait to hang out with you again after I get back from Moonshiners and do some more training, get you up in the air, man.
Absolutely. Sounds awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll catch you later.